Hey, welcome back, y'all. Look, one of the things I want to talk about here, and I've kind of tried to stay away from this as much as I possibly could because I really wasn't that interested in it, but then it starts taking on a life of its own. And when it starts taking on a life of its own, you gotta, you gotta be like, I'll say, okay, well, that whole Antonio Brown thing, and I stayed away from it, and I have a lot of stuff that I got to say about that, but I don't really care about that. But this is one of the things that I'm gonna speak about here, and what he doesn't realize was happening. First and foremost, I honestly don't think he's gonna play anymore this year. That's just my opinion. I really don't think he's going to play any more. He's going to play football any this year. Between the 3 or 4 games, going into the 4th week, nobody's picked him up. And then if somebody signed him Monday, he's going to be suspended for 4 to 6 games just with conduct detrimental to that of the league, against league policy rules and all that kind of stuff. So you're looking at somebody who's going to probably miss 10 or 11 games. Put it that way. So I don't see him playing this year at all. And this is how I'm going to end up seeing Antonio Brown's career end up eking out if he doesn't do a 360 within the next couple of so months. First and foremost, if you guys go back and look at my when I first started broadcasting, talked about who needs to be in the Hall of Fame, who doesn't. I always talked about T.O. How T.O. was the first ballot Hall of Fame. His numbers scream that. That's what he was supposed to be. They let him in, and I told you guys this, go back and look it up, that they're going to let him in during the time when they let Randy Moss and Ray Lewis in because they have to, because that would completely screw up the integrity of the game, of the Hall of Fame process and whatnot. So they had to let him in. Took him 3 times when he should have been the first ballot Hall of Fame. That's what hurt him more than anything. I think he would have probably even went if he'd have made the second ballot Hall, but third time it's like whatever. And then you put him in with guys who actually went to jail and stuff like that, and he never had an issue with that. But they made up the T.O. rule. Oh, he was disrupted. He was this. He was that. All of that stuff got made up because they just did. At the end of the day, they didn't like T.O. At the end of the day, when you break all that stuff down. So that's what ended up happening. So once you realize that's what happened, that is now the criteria, what they will use now, right? What they will use now to sit up there, and now with Antonio Brown, they're going to hold that against him and say, now with you, we're going to use the T.O. rule on you now. And with his arrogance, narcissism, and everything that he's doing, them tweets and everything that this guy's running around doing, they're going to make that young man pay for that. I say, don't be surprised. So this is the way I see Antonio Brown's career ending out. And I really hope I'm wrong, but this is just, when you watch football as long as I've watched football and you see things, sometimes people are just that, it's a different person, but it's the same scenario. Put it that way. So what ends up happening is, you have a guy who has 841 reception. You have a guy who has 11,263 yards and somebody with 75 touchdowns. He even has return yards of over 2,900 yards and 5 touchdowns. He has 80 touchdowns altogether. Okay? And Antonio Brown has been a first-team All-Pro for like 4 years in a row or something like that. Once or twice second team. Right? 6-time All-Pro. Hall of Fame resume and the whole 9 yards. He's been blessed to be able to play with Ben Roethlisberger and everything. Okay, so, and then he also had a chance to play with Tom Brady. This is what's going to happen. He will not, and I'm predicting this, and again, I really hope I'm wrong. I don't like what the guy's doing. I really haven't spoke about it because the whole thing with the girls and all that kind of stuff like that, I sit up there and say that time and time about these players. I'm like, dude, you better watch what you're dealing with. That's all I'm going to say about that. But this is what I'm saying. With his narcissism and his arrogance and his tweets and his Instagrams and all the dumb stuff that he does on social media and whatnot and all that. And he has Hall of Fame credentials. What's going to end up happening with him is he's not going to play this year. He's going to go to some team that's out in Siberia somewhere with no quarterback. Those receptions is going to shrink from 100 to 60 to 50. No more 1,000-yard receiving yards. No more 11, 12 touchdowns a year. No more Pro Bowls. No more any of that kind of stuff going to be going on. Guaranteed. That stuff is not going to happen for him. It's not going to happen for him. And that's what's going to rip him. So the first 6 or 7 years of his career, right? If you really look at it, right? His first let me get all this stuff up here, right? If you take his career from 2010 to 2018, first 8-9 years of his career or whatever, really started to become AB. Like I want to say 2011, he missed some games in 2012. But when he really went on, started going on a tear, which is really in 2013, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, a 5-year run. He's led the league twice, I believe, in yards, or led the league in yards in 2015. The guy's a phenomenal talent. Everybody knows that. Now, I want to see what's going to end up happening from 2019 on. Like I said, I don't see him playing no more in 2019. And I see him in Siberia. His career is going to end up reminding me of somebody who basically is going to, the next 5 or 6 years of his career after he played in the league, or 12 years, it's not going to even resemble anything remotely close to that, those first 6 or 7, 8 years in that of Pittsburgh. That's how I see it happening. And I see them making them wait, using the TO rule. Because now they're going to use conduct. Because if they could, they would have still had TO sitting outside looking in just because they didn't like him. And it's going to, same thing's going to happen with him. But yet, with Brown, it's different because of the assault or the rape stuff that they're talking about, or assault or whatever, and the threats and all that kind of stuff like that, and the farting on the doctor and all that. His conduct, how he was acting, the stuff on social media, they are going to hold that against him. And that Joker's hair is going to be snow white by the time he gets up in the Hall of Fame. You heard that here first. His hair is going to be snow white by the time they get down the Hall of Fame. I made a piece about OBJ, and I was actually talking about John Jefferson, and that will OBJ be the next John Jefferson. Now, he may not be, but I've often, because if anybody who's around my age, I'm 51, and anybody a few years younger or obviously older, remember with John Jefferson and the Chargers and how he was and how badass he was. And he went for that bag, as these youngins say nowadays. He went for that bag, and he went out to Siberia of Green Bay. Because anybody that knew Green Bay, the Green Bay Packers back in the early 80s, for a long time, for at least a good, from the 80s, from 80, 81, 82, was Siberia. And he went out there, and that was it. Somebody who started off at the gates first 3 years in the league, did everything. It's like he's got a Hall of Fame career. He put another 3 years in dealing with fouls. He's a sure-fire Hall of Famer. If you put in 6 solid years, All-Pro, and you lead, you All-Pro, Pro Bowler, and all that stuff, you played in some big games and whatnot, you're going to go to I guarantee you go to the Hall of Fame. But John Jefferson is a footnote. And it's going to be interesting to see, like I said, with OBJ, but with Antonio Brown, with Antonio Brown, I really fear that if he doesn't get it together and make a turnaround and try to change the things that he's doing, he will be about 60, 70 years old trying to get into the Hall of Fame, because they're going to make him pay. They're going to make him pay for that. They're going to make him pay for the way that he behaved and everything else that comes about that, because these guys put all their business out in the street on this whole social media thing, and they're going to make him pay for that. And I honestly feel that's what's going to happen. And he's going to be in Siberia somewhere. And next thing, 50 catches, 860 catches, 900 yards, 60 catches, 700 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3. And before you know it, he's going to be calling out the quarterback and everything, and he's going to start bouncing all over the league. And he's going to be a footnote. So we'll see what happens. Hope that doesn't happen. Hope the young man gets his act together and gets back to just playing football and being the best receiver in the game. I really wanted to get back to that. All that other stuff with the women and stuff like that. And, that's neither here nor there, because a lot of that stuff is made up and a lot of the time it's BS. But at the same time, you got to watch yourself, and you can't do stupid stuff and be ridiculous out here on social media and just being reckless out here. So, like I said, you guys, y'all smash that like button. Smash that like button. Subscribe to the page. Got any comments? Leave them down there below. And I tell you guys all the time, there is no GOAT, no greatest of all time, as long as time is still going on. And like I always say, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do. Holler at you guys later.